I'm not real good with the mic thing, so we'll see what happens here. Title of my presentation is Seeding of Possibility. Actually, seed. I actually meant to put ing, but I like the seed better. I think that provides the concept of opportunity. And we're examining integral consciousness, visionary action through the use of the Mandala emotion tool. But we're not going to forget the work of Gebser and Aurobindo and Jung and other seminal thinkers that are part of our visionary action and possibility for this world for change. So I'm going to take you through a quick meditation to kind of get us centered in what this process is about. I want you to close your eyes. And as I take you through this presentation, this meditation part, I want you to think about creativity. Think about the open mind piece of breathing in the possibility, breathing in the source of however you want to call it. As you close your eyes, I want you to visualize a table outside the door here. On that table is a flat surface for you to place any resistance, anything that might be blocking your ability to take in what needs to be taken in is for your highest good. Just breathe it in and release it to that table. You can get it back on the way back out the door. Now in front of you is a door. It has a small window. Turn the knob gently and walk in the door. You are crossing through a threshold to opportunity, to a place, part of the world that is real and active and has energy flowing. As you walk, you'll notice on the sides, the ocean waves coming in, the receiving from spirit, the giving back, the exchange, reciprocal, back and forth, receiving and giving. Breathe it in. As you turn and look the other way, you're going through a rainforest lake setting. You hear the birds, you hear the other little critters around, life beings. You follow down the trail, smelling in the clean peace of nature. Approaching a cliff. A large wall of rock covered with moss and other parts of nature. Camaraderie that we feel part of our life force, peace, connection. There are ladders among the cliff. Some of them are rope, some of them are wood, some of them are just spaces in the rock of steps. You're moving up that ladder up to the top of a cliff. Each rung of that ladder has a message for you, a wisdom piece for you to take in. Each rung in the form of pictures, hieroglyphics, words, symbols, maybe in a voice that comes into your consciousness. Before you make the climb, though, you're carrying a pouch full of tools, full of parts of you, of your tools that help bring you to your full self, that have guided you along the way in this process so far. Maybe it's a book of your research, of your understanding of those seminal thinkers. Maybe it's a compass, a rope, an eraser. Breathe it in. And as you go, unzip the pouch or unsnap it and reach in and see what's there for you. Breathe in that process. Breathe in those tools. They're inside of you and never leave, but an important part of your own wisdom that you're developing. You climb the ladder, each rung. Take your time. Take in the wisdom. See what it brings for you. As you get to the top of the cliff, you look out. You see the world below, a big picture of all that's happening, the chaos and the calmness, the paradigms, social conditioning, the collective mind. You see also individuals who have decided to raise their consciousness to a place of visionary action, possibility. They've woven the ideas of Gebser, Jung, Aurobindo, their seminal thinkers, to a piece of them, not yet to be limited, but to grow. In that, you know you're a part of it. You're part of that seeding of possibility towards the integral consciousness. You take a deep breath, holding that space, that vision. You roll up your sleeves now, ready to enter back in, knowing you have work to be done. You climb back down that ladder to the very bottom, taking a moment to remember all that you've crossed along the way in this little journey. As you're ready, you walk back down the path, passing the trees and the beauty, the ocean and the wave, breathing in, rising your vibrational energy to something much bigger. You open the door and you enter back into the space. As you're ready, breathe in the moment, breathe in the opportunity that awaits, the creativity, the openness of what you can bring to this process for yourself and for others. As you're ready, open your eyes. There's a piece of paper there for you to jot down your stream of consciousness, what came in, what phrases, what items, whatever, quick jot. And we're going to continue this process as we go. Just go ahead and take that piece of paper. There's a side with a compass and a ladder, part of this meditation piece. Begin writing, if you will, what is part that's come to you. This process that we're doing right here is not something that's going to be a finished product. I hope that that piece of paper, you'll take it and use it as a journal. To take it and just, maybe you can use it, maybe you can't. Maybe you're feeling some resistance, but notice that, because in resistance, there's opportunity. That push, that chaos begins to shift what's possible. Look at that closely. I'm going to move on from here to talk a little bit about the tool. This tool was created in 2008. Started out as an inner healing room for my own journey of healing. Over time, it progressed with the dissertation. A committee member recognized the fact that this tool would be a wonderful piece to use with kids. Since that time, 2015, I've implemented it in my schools with my students. I'm a physical education teacher. And it may seem odd that I would bring this in, but that's probably one of the biggest opportunities to bring in the wholeness piece, the mind, body, spirit, to empower kids that are our future, that will bring this possibility if they're given the opportunity to have a voice. We can't leave that behind, and we can't forget what they bring. In fact, they have a lot of wisdom, and it's pretty exciting to be a part of that process. I've used it with adults too. And although it looks like there's a lot of toys and things, there's only so much you can fit in a suitcase. And unfortunately, bulldozer won't fit. Okay, so I need you to use your imagination. But back to the Mandala. I call it Mandala. It came to me in a dream, the part Mandala in motion. Mandala, apparently I had some wisdom teachers, angels that were country like I am, and called it Mandela instead of Mandala. So we're going to go with that, and I'm going to honor how it came. But it was a piece where I was riding in the dream, that I was riding a tandem bike with my spiritual teacher, very powerful person that I've worked with for quite a few years. We were riding and pedaling along. It was a tandem bike. And as I rode through with this bike on each side, I was passing locust shells and dragonflies. And I kept down the path, noticing the trees with rainbow colors, crystals on the branches, the leaves, traveling on up the hill. Mandela motion involved there. I recognized very quickly that the Mandela motion piece is like a sprocket on a bike, a gear that's driven by a chain of intention. And with the help of each other, our intention, we can bring alive something that's possible, much bigger, that we too are living in Mandalas. When we come together as a group like we are right now, we become a collective living Mandala. We bring in all parts of ourselves. We're bringing our energy, our ideas, something that's very, very powerful that will again bring the seeding for opportunity. The Mandela motion is divided into parts, not to break the wholeness of what the Mandala represents, but to look at the integral parts that are playing together, that we're creating what's possible for wholeness. This is the Mandala. It is made up of mirrors. There's a center mirror you'll see here in a second. You also see the gray bands. There's one in the very center that's a circle like a bullseye that represents the individual or individuals who we are. If we were to take this as little pie shapes, each of us as a group, we represented one of them, we would represent here in the most center our own individual thoughts, our own individual ideologies, or however you want to look at it. The next band of the bullseye, also with a mirror on it, represents the community space, where again, we're creating paradigms of dysfunction, paradigms creating separation, the social conditioning, or the possibility for beginning that change. The outer edge of the Mandala is the collective space of the whole global community. What we can rise as a world, what we can bring into manifestation if we pull our ideas together. So it's always a process of showing up what we choose to reflect into the world. Integration, each piece could represent a part of the wholeness, a part of the environment, the community, the people, the healthcare, the education, all the pieces that make up our world that creates that interconnectivity and relation. The Mandela in motion, right now, the attention is self-awareness, community awareness, just reflection. When we shift the Mandala, where the pieces of the Mandala begin to open up, then the process of mobilization begins to take place. It creates a gear or the sprocket itself. You still have the innermost circle, but now it's large space of the collective. The pie shapes now are bringing the intention to the middle. The outer edge of the pie shape is now looking to the middle part for sharing. If we represented one of these pie shapes, we are here already sharing our ideas like we are right now, taking in information that we can use and then bringing it together to collaboratively build something here to share. Other groups around the world are doing the same thing. They're sharing, they're bringing it together. We're creating this collective space. And as the intentionality to bring about change or integral consciousness taking place here, it will begin to turn. It will begin to turn with other intentions that are important for creating that integration. And all of this, Gebser, Aurobindo, Jung are all woven into this. And you may see pieces in your own way of how it fits. But it's here. This right here is the ladder of perspective. Ladder has two sides. The upside can bring more awareness as you climb the rungs. Each rung sends your awareness out farther, your perspective. Each rung is a climb of choice, of taking the risk to head to the top, where there you have the world, your vision. Why are you here? What are you going to bring? What is possible? You have the downside. This is perspective. This is where you just look at assumptions, your biases. The downside here is the action piece. What are we going to bring to manifestation, and how are we going to ground it to reality that's here? Talking about it is one way to ground it. Action is another way. Seeding is taking something, finding that fertile ground and planting it, bringing it alive. I'm going to move on from here. I don't want to overdo this. I want to talk about one thing real fast. When we look at the pie shapes, the pie shapes here, They are feeding in ideas. They're overlapping. The more they share, the more they create an understanding, a common ground. The more they leave open to what can be brought together, the common thread. You're building, if you keep layering and spreading out, you're building actually a lotus flowering. And it looks something like this. There's the mandala, first of all, the wholeness, the shifting of perspective in and out. So the motion of the mandala can fold in, fold out, bringing constant inner outer reflection. Go to the next one. Here it is, the integration, the overlap of understanding, could be ideologies, background, culture, the bridging between. Bigger, the choice to be a part of it. Again, you have the flowering. If you were to try this, you would probably have fun with it, actually. It's a fun way to consider. All right, in the middle right here, we have symbols. We have objects, actually, that hold symbology. And to each of us, it represents something, just like the tools you had on your journey. Just want you to look at it right now. You can walk around if you need to. But real quick, you have a tape measure, flashlight. You have several ladders. There's a village piece right here. You have 2 mirrors. You have a hawk feather, little people, and you have the bricks. The way they're arranged, when you look at it, might hold something as far as possibility. What do you envision? What do you see happening in the way the centerpiece is arranged? Because even though it's here as objects, it's also related to real world. What do we see happening? Where do we see the possibility? So I want you to just kind of look at it for a second, see if you can find the connection between the pieces and what they represent. Then, if you will, again, jot it down on your paper. You can flip to the other side if you'd like to. It gives more detail about the mandala. Like I said, feel free to walk around. It's kind of hard to see where you are. I couldn't find a bigger table or something to put on that would roll. You may find it's only one word that you're seeing. It may be a phrase. Look closely, the clearness of the cup, the numbers on the yard, tape, whatever. This is perspective as you walk around, as you look fear from different places, just like the ladder, you see it a different way. It has several different meanings, and there's no wrong way. It's the yes and the what else, and the what if. That's great. I'm not seeing anybody do that. Oh, yeah. She's had practice. All right, if you'll take a moment and just write for a second, like a stream of consciousness, allow it to come on in. Write rapidly, as fast as you can with it. Don't try to make anything grammatically correct or spelling right. Maybe a picture, but take a moment here and just jot. This is part of your vision, what you possibly envision. It could be also where you see dysfunction, what needs to be dismantled, depending on how you chose to view the centerpiece. What is needed, what's possible, what must change. Again, the process that you're writing is an ongoing piece. This is a journal. And I will tell you this, that I've used it with different groups, from educators to those in the district, to spiritual groups and so forth. And always I hear, I never thought of it that way. So possibilities arise with the use of symbols, and it's thinking outside the box of what something can do or be or offer in relation to other pieces. We're going to move on to the next part. What I want to say before I begin that is that we're always functioning with a stream of consciousness, however you want to look at it. We're getting information, creativity all the time. And all this is, though this may seem a little off, this is a pendulum. Way back when I was trying to find my space with healing and find my place in the world, I was given the task by a spiritual teacher to look at the experiences of life-changing points in time. And so I had to find a way to present that. And the only way I could do, because I was working on the area of integrating the mind, body, spirit piece, the only way I could do it was try to have a pendulum swing in a triangle of mind, body, spirit of balance. Well, if you try that, of course, it won't work, okay? Took the pendulum and I began swinging it. Had a world on the piece of paper on the ground and I swung it. I started at the first turning point here. The first life challenge that I run into, small circles. But from that, gifts were given. Consciousness was continuing to flow in if I was open to the information. I continued my walk up. The next life changing, whether it was a house fire, a death, a challenging piece, an uncovering of tough stuff. The pendulum swung out, the choice to be conscious. If you, which you are, all of us, since all of us, I should say, are doing that same walk, whether you see it in this form or not, we're creating overlapping spirals wherever we are. We're creating that safety net of integration, the weaving of the two. It's a constant. And this wasn't the best drawing of this. It actually looks like a spider web if you do it and take your time to really do it. It creates a ground spiral. We get comfortable with the world. We see it from a bigger picture. And as it moves, not only that, it's creating an upward spiral. Perhaps the spiral's in reverse, or perhaps it's going in the right direction, that the spiral itself, as it opens wider and wider, is holding a greater clarity and consciousness and understanding. The stream of consciousness is still there and active, and continues to be active as we go. Take into consideration now, I'm going to take you to the last activity, and I won't take a lot of time with it since I know we have to move on. But you'll see ladders on both sides, and we have a couple of people participating, so you can do maybe 4 at each table. But there's a ladder there of perspective. And up here, it says upward climb towards vision for integral consciousness, seeding of possibility. What are the questions needed to bring clarity and attention, paradigms, holding resistance to the whole? So each rung here, again, is looking at perspective, perception, possibility. What are you willing to make the climb for? What can it bring? First rung here, you're going to look at the tools that are there, and you're going to pick and decide which tools are going to work for this change. Which tools are going to hold the information of the action words, verbs, that allowed for there to bring new language to how we are thinking. Bulldozer, for example, it can uncover, it can cover up, it can dig, it can move, smooth out, whatever. If you decide, okay, the bulldozer represents to me uncover, then take that a little bit farther and take it as uncover what? If it's put on the first rung of the ladder, because you think that's where it needs to start, where the uncovering is, then think about from your own perspective, with your vision, what that might be. Other people will be placing their tools too as they go up the rungs. So each of the rungs that you see on the ladder will hold the next layer of understanding. When you're doing this collaborative process here is to look at the other tools that are placed on the rung and recognize that there are different perspectives here, but relate them. If we're going to integrate, we've got to be able to see the possibility in another's idea of placement whether we see it in the word of language or we see it in the area of symbols. What are they offering this connection to what I already have in place or what I believe is true? So in this, when you go to a table, what you're going to do quietly is place the tools on the different rungs, the order you feel like they need to go. Don't change anything. Once all the tools are placed that you feel like need to go on the ladder, just place them like this. Then step back for a second and think about the relation. Each person can share as they go. You can tell the actual pathing, the mapping of where you're going. For example, first rung, if I put a hammer, I'd like to build something first, like to start building that bridge. I need the compass for direction for where I'm going. I need to look farther, but when I get to that top, I need to bring attention to the details. Somebody else might place something different here. Maybe it's they want to start here with sifting ideas, filtering out what's not needed, bringing clarity. So at the table, you're going to start that process. And as you feel comfortable, you'll begin sharing. You can write down your ideas, again, related to the centerpiece here that's holding your vision. It is a collaborative. The vision of many is what's going to create the more inclusive idea of consciousness. So I guess maybe, well, let's see here. You four maybe want to be at this table or whatever, and then 1, 2, 3, and if Glenn, you want to join in? Yeah. Okay. If you'll go to this table over here and begin, and tools are all different. Oh, beside it on the hand, there's handouts there if you're confused about the Mandala piece. It's there as well, reflecting the ideas. And there's also a sheet there of the process of civic engagement, bringing the Mandala, the ladder, to the place of synthesizing and distilling into something that's of action. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring this to close. I know we're working on time here. So if you don't mind just going back to your seat, and I know for time purposes, we can't do a lot of sharing, but is there anybody can put it in a nutshell, like a 1 minute, the processing and what came about working collaboratively, what you noticed? Were you able to bring it together, collaborate? Were you able to go into the, oh yes, and then the what else? Is anyone willing to share about the processing? Just brief, it could be a phrase, it could be a word. That would be wonderful. Can I give this to you?
In my opinion, a little effort to sort of understand what the rules are, or could be, or don't have to be. But at any rate, we each followed spontaneously, really, with some encouragement, to work with the model. There was some examination of the limitations of the model, its hierarchical character. What was the term you used, Bob? Yeah, hierarchical. Yeah, that it's hierarchical. And Bob, if I may say, felt resistance to that. We got into some story and some narrative. It was sort of surprising to see that it became quite vertical, quite hierarchical. But then we have our compass, which we felt was asymmetrically encompassing, and that was an advance. It was an advance that it would be asymmetrically encompassing. And then we had the original pliers, then we went with the needle nose pliers, and it's a very sort of masculine piece here, I have to say. It started with my own confession about some father energies I'm working with a crescent wrench, which was just sort of divine in my childhood. But then Daniel came over with the front loader road and rear. It's a front. Oh, we got to do this, Daniel. We both have boys, childs. Bull. Well, but it's a backhoe and front loader and backhoe. And so Daniel sort of cleared the slate, and that was sort of something of what we were working with. It started, by the way.
Yeah, it's a ongoing thing, and it was nice to hear you speaking about the limitations of it and hierarchical. I think that's sometimes hard to work with when you're working on distilling ideas in the creative process. That looking at it, possibly flattening out the ladder itself into a bridge, and finding some way of offering that idea. I think all of us will see it differently, and that's awesome. Maybe even flipping it upside down so it's a V. How would you arrange it? That's another creativity part of integration. And if we were all had a chance to build our own ladder, however, maybe it's not a ladder, maybe it just has the rungs, what would it look like? And there you have another piece of the integration. Integral consciousness can emerge from that with deeper processing. Is there anybody else from this one on this side that would like to? I heard linear and nonlinear words. So.
All right. Well, we sort of started with the refining of ideas at the bottom, and we, with the help of an extra ladder and an extra beam, we moved from a sort of linear kind of two-dimensional area to a three-dimensional, very circular. Yeah, linear at the bottom, circular at the top, and pushing the boundaries of the surfaces. You sure can. Chalk left. But it did sort of manifest like a little bit of destruction and a whole lot of examination. How can a pencil sit on here, or how can a pen sit upright, chalk on the top, and move out in different ways? What I miss?
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. This process will be ongoing. You know, hopefully you'll think about it, even if it felt like it was limiting in some way, which I know is still evolving everything, especially with the Mandala as well. But think about it. What drew your attention, whether it was the tool, design of the ladder, whatever it may be, the centerpiece, the journey itself, and see what it takes for you. Because in that, you'll be distilling a huge amount of information to wisdom. And the nonlinear piece offers quite a bit, as you spoke about the language piece of sometimes limitation, the words, sometimes something this. I want to end on one thing. When I was getting my dissertation or working on my dissertation, I went to the top of the hill, Pacifica, and I sat there for an hour talking to a digital voice recorder, trying to find my main question. I can't remember what the question is called. I couldn't find it. I was so frustrated. I walked down that hill and I got to the bottom. I was walking on the sand and I looked down, there was a rock. The rock had, from what I saw, two hearts merged together. It had the green on it, like landforms, and it had the blue. The rocks here are amazing. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, here is my question. I don't have the words, but here is my question. Here's my dissertation. It's with the hearts that are coming together. The merging of the love for this planet, for this world is right here. I walked to my chair, which was dissertation chair, which was Rusa Fahim. And I said to her, Rusa, I found my question. She goes, well, what is it? I said, I don't know. I said, but here it is. And later I did find it. So at the end of that weekend, then I went down to talk to the ocean and the spirit, the receiving of gratitude for all that's happening. And I looked down and I found a 50-cent piece that was worn by the ocean, which was pretty magical in itself, that had a visionary on there, John F. Kennedy. Several visionaries in our lifetime that are here, just like yourselves, as well as those that have passed. I thank you so much for allowing me to present. I know this was kind of pushing the edges of being here, but I do appreciate a lot of gratitude. You have opened up a big part of me, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
You. Thank you, Angela. That was wonderful. Okay, Lisa, you're now the moderator.